Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Code with Toyo. Um, it was a great time yesterday, so we were able to learn the basic stuff. We were able to build a simple web scraper with Python. Today we just thought of it. Okay, we have a web scraper. So many people are not so good at the dark screen that they look at. So let's just try to make it into a UI. What is a UI? A user interface, a graphical user interface where you have things like the buttons, the input field, and the drop downs, and so many things you can just use to interact with your application on the back so that anybody can use it. So let's try and see. Probably we can get to build something really simple. Let's say we just want to build something really simple. Let's get a simple UI. Probably we have a kind of simple interface here where we'll have our input field for our URL and maybe our input field to take, let's say, our element or our tags, then another button to actually do the scraping. Then somewhere around here, we have a display area. So, yes, input field, button, and some sort of display area or a label. So these are all the elements that we need to code into our interface. So let's just get on with it and see. Yesterday we were able to understand what beautiful soup is, what request is, why we need it, and all of these things. So the next thing we want to use in Python, if you want to work with Python GUI, you are either using Tkinter, a library that came with Python, or PyQt5 and all of those things. But we are going to be using Tkinter. Tkinter is quite easy and straightforward. So let's just keep building our plan. Let's say implementing a simple UI using Tkinter. In our Tkinter, we want to do what? We want to take values from user. What are the values we want to take? We want to take URL and we want to take the elements we want to scrape from the user. Then at the end of the day, when we are done with that, we want to display um, results or want to display script data or information or whatever it is in the UI. So this is the plan that we want to do. Again, very simple. The user enter in something into this field. They enter in an element into this field, hit this button, and they see the result of whatever they are scraping. So let's just get to it. What is the first thing that we do? Like we did yesterday, we just have to import the libraries we want to use. Get it in whatever you want to use. So we are going to be importing maybe request, so there's something in Python that you can do as an alias when you don't want to have to always type um, a full name or a full identifier. I can say import request as R. So whenever I'm using R, I know that it's going to be request from Beautiful Soup. I want to install Beautiful Soup as a BS. So whatever I say a BS, I know what I mean. I want to import. Now this is the new thing that we are importing. It's called Tkinter. Tkinter is a Python library, so we're importing Tkinter as TK. If you're using Visual Studio or maybe WebStorm, whenever you go over an import, a class, a library, a function, a variable, it will always give you some sort of information as to what it is and what it's doing. So these are the three main things that we need in the first place. So for everything that you see working, just look at your car, analogy of your car. If you press on your horn, you hear the sound, you click a button of your AC, the AC comes off. So for anything that you are doing, when you are pressing on a button or interacting with a button, it calls a functionality or it calls a function somewhere. And how do you write a function in Python? Is as easy as the definition keyword, which is def, then the function name, then the parentheses, then probably a full column that represents that we are entering into the body of the function. So let's break it down even further. Let's say we need a function that will actually take input and we need another function that will scrape. So that way we'll have two functions. One is dynamic, one is static, one has a return value, and one is only calling the other function, just breaking things down as much as we can. So let's say, let's call it function to um, take input from user. We are just trying to break it into two. So let's just call it def. Um, let's say what should we call it? What should you call it? What should you call it? Def. Let's call it an input getter. The name of the function is input getter. It gets input from user basically, and it's able to get, of course, at the end of the day, we might be having um, things that are URL, things that are elements, and this is just what we want to do. Call this particular URL element, call the element, pass whatever we get into another function. Another function, let's call it a function that will scrape the site. So this function is going to do the actual scraping we want it to do. Then we can just call it maybe def, let's say scraper. This is the actual one that is going to do the scraping. And remember, we passed it on line 17 as a dynamic function that actually has arguments. So we are defining it as a function that has parameters. So if you want to know what parameter is, argument is, static function, dynamic functions, functions with return type, and so many things, you can just hit me up and we can talk further about it. So let's say this is going to work taking the URL and the elements. These are the parameters that we need for this function to work. It's going to take a URL and an element. So, and whenever it takes the URL and an element, we just want to say at this point, we want to get, so it's going to be taking these two elements to work with. But for now, let me just hit a pass on this function so that I can just complete the body of the website. So if you're using Tkinter, two main things after you import Tkinter, you just need to call the constructor or initiate a new Tkinter element. Most of the time, we call it as root. So from the whatever TK we have up here, which is TK, we're importing the TK class from it so that we can use it. And immediately we have it, we have the title method in it. We call it simple web scraper. We have things like root.geometry where we can set the geometry and all of this. So as soon as you set the root, the last thing that you want to do is to have a root.main loop. So most of these things, everything you are using has a documentation out there. You can always see the Inter documentation here, how you can implement it, how you can use it. Just go on their site, look at the implementation. You can see from Kinter we are importing, we are initializing this, and we just go on calling different. We call it widgets. Widgets for whatever you want to do is already available on Kinter. So let's say we want to get the URL. We want to get the URL is very easy. We are calling, let's call it URL equal to, we are getting it from an entry. First, I need you to understand two things. For every entry input, we have a label. So this is more like a URL label that is saying, like username, password. This is saying thinker.label want to enter URL. As simple as this is, when we run this, we'll definitely see it appear on the screen. But let's just quickly finish it up because of our time. I have URL url.entry, and I want it to be in the roots area, and I want it to have a width of just around 50. Then there is a secret about Kinter. Either you are using the grid or the pack. Whatever thing you declare, you need to pack it, keep it somewhere. And now you can see that this URL entry variable is now active because you already declared the same thing for elements that we want to do. We want to give it a label, probably enter elements that you want to scrape data at the end of the day. Let's just have this couple of more like a placeholder also. So you're saying you are entering elements and you want to do all of this, and yeah, let's just pack it at the exact place. So this is all we say. um Enter element to scrape, e.g. you are scraping the p tag, and you are scraping um so you are scraping the p tag and we are packing it, keeping it on the screen. And after the label, The next thing that we need to have the entry, the element entry, the same thing. The next line, it goes when you are packing, you are just packing stuff as if you are stacking stuff on each other. But when you're using the grid, you can actually do some sort of arrangement. And you can notice what we are doing. We have an element, then we pack it. We have an element to pack it. If you come here, I can see my entry, the function input getter is already getting in. Then the last thing we want to do is to have um, this function that says create website. Oh, okay, we call it scraper here and create website there. So what do we do? Let's just return it here and scraper. Although scrape website makes more sense to me, but just for the sake of this video, let's say it's calling this scraper. So we have all of these. We have a place to collect the value for this. We have another place to collect the value for this. So we need a last place to display um before we display, let's have a button to script. So the button is going to be calling the function at the end of the day, and we want to pack it so just the way we are doing. We are saying we want the script button to be a button, and it's calling this input getter. Should it get the input getter? No, it should get the scraper. So we want this to actually call the scraper at the end of the day. The input getter is calling is it the scraper? Let me see. Okay, yeah, the scraper. It's right. This function, this particular function here, is already calling the scraper, and it's doing most of what we want to do. So yes, it makes a whole lot of sense. So let's quickly finish up this guy here. So whenever I call the scraper, what happens? The scraper takes the response from request, and it gets the URL we pass to it at any particular point in time here. And the beautiful soup, just like we had yesterday, and the data is from whatever element you are passing, either the A, the P, and at the end of the day, we just want to get the text from whatever data we are getting. As simple as that. So now we have the button. The last thing we want to have is display area, where we want to display our result after our script. So we call it result text, and we are having result text dot pack. So the display area that we have, we are going to do this instead of printing it. We call the result text whatever thing we are inserting in the Tkinter element, and we just want to see whatever item we have of text. Let me go through this again. Hopefully we are good. Quickly run. Don't want this video to in the next 2 minutes. I want it to be done. So let's just test it. So we have this. You can see we have a simple UI here, and it's saying we should enter URL. Let me try google.com, for example, and I want to know, let's go for Facebook. We used Google yesterday, facebook.com to take us the Facebook landing page. I want to get all A from Facebook. Okay, so invalid URL, no scheme. So no scheme means at this point where you are taking the URL dot entry dot get, is not saying an HTTPS. The request cannot make a proper request. So let's just use a formatted printing, or we call it yeah, we just want to use a formatted printing here, and we want to get um, the URL. But before we get it, we just want to make sure that it's always HTTPS no matter what. Yeah, so we want to get it and make sure that at every particular point in time is HTTP X. So it's called string interpolation. Most of the programming languages have their own. When we start doing JavaScript, you see what JavaScript have. Quickly, I want this video to end in a couple of seconds. So again, I go to google.com. I don't have to provide the either HTTPS or the domain name or whatever it is. And I say I want a tag again. Let's scrape it up and see what we have. So we are waiting, it's scraping. Yeah, you can see it's returning a couple of text within Google that we have a link that is to images, that leads to YouTube, Gmail, more settings, Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba, and all of these things. So basically, this is what happens when. So let's quickly do something in the next couple of seconds. Let's test it again with a different UI. Let's think. What UI can we try it with? Yes, I think you should know this. Some web applications are built, our websites are built with frameworks like React, Vue.js. You need a different pattern to script those using maybe Selenium or all of these tests. But if it's built with a core HTML, CSS, JavaScript, then we can use requests to test it out. Let's think about it. Which of the sites, again, can we just quickly check that is a Nigerian site? Let's say, is it ninjabets.com? Is that what the site is? I want to see if there are images on Ninjabet. If it's the correct domain name, is going to come back with something. If not, it will break. So you didn't see anything image on Ninjabet. Let's try an A. Is that even the correct site? Let's quickly check it here. Is it Ninja Bet? Yes, ninjabets.com. Or let's try. Um, so quickly, let's assume my school website, Footmina. I just want to get some links off the school site. I don't want to have to browse through and do a whole lot of things. I just want to step in with my automation and script. Let's try it out. Footmina.edu ng, and I can say I want to return all links you get from the very first page you hit and hit on script. So definitely go into the site on the back end and return links. You can see we have these are all the links we have on Foodmina. We have CPS, Edu, and a whole lot of things. So basically, that is what it is. Now we're able to um, write the back end in Python, write some functionalities, throw it into Tkinter for front end, and we are here. Same thing. You can connect this to a React app, a basic HTML app, or whatever front end you want to use for this. You can always maybe a Fabric JS, whatever thing you want to use. You can always connect it to a Python um, backend. So very soon we'll be doing things that have to do with JavaScript, mobile app development, things that have to do with C Sharp.net. Yeah, just name the programming language. We'll just do something cool with it and build something with it. So see you in the next video. Bye.